So darning is adding this layer of thicker thread around the platform of the shoe. It helps you feel your balance kind of proprioceptively because you're feeling this material and it's giving you that awareness of the edge of the platform. Also can help with some fraying of the satin just for the cleanliness of your line. What you're going to need is your new pair of shoes, some sort of thicker crochet thread. I found this in a consignment store. It's very thick, so thick that I can't get it through my shoe. This is just for the looped material. This section here, you can kind of see not the white, but the tan. And then you want something that's much thicker than your usual sewing thread. You could do the whole thing in this, I used to, but I do really like having this thicker because it stays so much better than when I was just using thinner. Also going to need scissors. Make sure you have a strong needle, and then you're gonna need a thimble to get through that tough material. Starting off, look at the platform of your shoe. You're gonna take this thicker thread and just give yourself some space. Kind of marking with your fingers. Okay, I want it slightly forward of the edge of the platform. So this is the edge of the platform, I want it slightly forward. And then accommodating by coming slightly in front. Pretty good circumference here. And then as you hold that, be very exact with it, so then you don't have more thread to kind of get in your way and to push out of the way later. Now I have my loop. Again, testing on the shoe. This one, I'd like it a little bit wider. So I'm forward of the platform and a little bit over, but stretching that way, I'm gonna miss this corner. Do you see it's not quite wide enough? So measure again. Yeah, I'm happy with that size. It's forward, it's over, and then I can hold it with both fingers and get the width that I want. So I've threaded my needle, and then I'm just pulling so that the needle comes to the center of these. Make sure you place this nicely on the edge you'll start sewing on, but then it's just very important to keep your fingers adjusting the whole time, because otherwise you can get kind of skewed as you sew. So I'm forward, I'm on this edge, I'm gonna come under as many layers of satin as I can, pulling through. Hopefully you got lucky and your first spot wasn't too gluey or funky, but you can always find a new spot because sometimes it's just not working. But I've pulled through and I leave a little bit of a tail, go under between the loop and pull. This is where you can really get knots if you have a long piece, so just go slowly. And then go ahead and trim this little tail. So that's the stitch, and you complete it the whole way around. So I'm coming under. This is really the moment for me, since I'm bringing it forward, to make sure I'm holding it in that place. It doesn't matter too much. You'll get your personal preference of how close these stitches are going to be to one another, but you want to be decently consistent. Again, don't worry if it's your first time. You really aren't going to screw it up. It's going to be fine, and you're going to learn between shoes what you like and don't like. So I'm just giving you details, so hopefully that'll help, but don't let that scare you. Going under and pulling again. So I'm holding with this hand, making sure I'm lined up nicely forward, and then it's good to just watch periodically. Okay, I still have enough width. Straightening that out, pulling that knot out, and then, oops. You want to try to notice these knots before you pull too far. The knots are natural, especially with this thicker thread, but if you pull too far, then it gets a little bit yucky trying to fix that. Sometimes you will get this section where you missed a knot and then it pulled through, and you gotta kind of jiggle it and just see if you can get that extra bit through. I was able to this time mostly, but if you can't, as long as you've tugged and you've made sure it won't come out later, it's fine to leave a little bit. Again, I'm just checking that it's going to fit nicely as I continue along. So not an exact science at all, and not always pretty. But the more you do it, the more you learn what's actually functional for you. So I'm coming to this corner. I just want to keep both hands here, pulling, keeping this width. So I usually put thumb and first finger. Sometimes you have to go a little shallower to get through the toughest spots at the corner, and it's going to be okay. Just try to go deep as quickly as you can. That way the corner doesn't fall off. Pulling the rest of the darning with it. So you see, I got a little bit skewed this way, and if I kept going in that direction, I'd be off, and then that would encourage me to sickle. So the thread isn't making you do anything. It's thread. The darning doesn't have that much power. But it's kind of like when you're doing PBT, the ball gives you information. And the information you get from the placement of this darning helps you correct sickling, or if it's skewed off, encourages you to sickle. And then it helps you just feel the edges of the platform, so then you're aware if you're being pulled back, if you're going too far over. So I'm coming up to my tail. I don't think it's going to fit in this loop, but in the next one, just covering it so it's encased in the knot. A lot of glue right there. So if you've run out of thread at any point here, sometimes I run out right here, which is pretty annoying. But this is a knot. You know, your shoe's gonna be secure, but I usually just tie another knot just to be sure, and then I start over like I did from the top. As you get more comfortable, you can get longer pieces of thread and not have to worry about that. But it's nice in the beginning just for the tangle factor. These last few, I'm just making sure they're in nice and deep since I'm at a corner. This corner is easier than the other corner though. And this is going to be my last one. Just have a little bit of space here. So I'm pulling through. Tie off just like I would before, and then cut this needle loose. I like to, just so it's not so thick, instead of tying a knot with both, I'll separate and then tie a little knot. It's a little bit out of the way. It'll get flattened anyway. And voila, we've darned a shoe.